Here are the top stories of the news. Police holds pull-out ceremony of former Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. President Tinubu reiterates commitment to sustaining democracy, says he is a die-hard Democrat. On the firing scene, Israel pounds Beirut suburbs after Iran-aligned Hezbollah fires volley of rockets. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. And my name is Timitope Ajijolaoluwa Ola. The Nigeria Police Force this morning began the pull-out ceremony of the former Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. Egbetokun resigned as IGP in February and was replaced by Olatunji Diso, a former Assistant Inspector General of Police, who was appointed by President Bola Tinubu. Egbetokun was appointed by President Tinubu as the nation's 22nd Inspector General of Police on the 19th of June, 2023, replacing IGP Usman Baba Alkali. Now to politics. President Bola Tinubu has reiterated his commitment to sustaining democracy and the rule of law in Nigeria, saying that he is a die-hard Democrat. The president spoke at an interfaith break-in of the fast with members of the National Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress, APC, and the leadership of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja. The president noted that the unity and stability of the country rests on the pillars of good governance and assures that his administration would uphold these principles for posterity. Tinubu also noted that strengthening internal democracy within political parties remained fundamental to building credible electoral institutions, processes, and systems. According to him, there is no threat from any Democrat under his watch, adding that the rule of law must prevail in any democracy. On the spot, IPAC chairman appealed to the president to reconsider including the National Identity Number, NIN, as a requirement for voter registration, adding that many eligible voters might be disenfranchised by the requirement.
I'm glad we are all Democrats. And we all subscribe to this democracy voluntarily, willingly, and we've been at it selflessly in the last 26 years. Some of us are the bruises of it, struggling for it. We went to detention, we protested, we had street hungers, we went on exile and all of that. We formed NADECO. We got here. I followed the leadership destiny that God has done and chosen for me. There's no doubt about it. I'm a die-hard Democrat. And I follow that belief wholeheartedly, committed to united country, Nigeria. That principle and that philosophy will live and die with me. I'm glad I had you as IPAC chairman. Like I started, we are all Democrats, voluntary, party alliances, party ideology or no ideology, party vote, party platform, in whichever form. It's voluntary. Be persecuted. So no threat from any Democrat. The rule of law must prevail in any democracy.
In the meantime, the lawmaker representing Sokoto South in the Senate, Senator Aminu Tambuwal, has resigned from the People's Democratic Party and defected to the African Democratic Congress, citing persistent internal crisis within the opposition party. Senator Tambuwal, a former governor of Sokoto State, disclosed this in a resignation letter dated March 11, addressed to the PDP ward chairman and Tambuwal Shemfiri ward of Tambuwal local government area. The letter, which was made available to journalists today, said the decision followed consultations with his political associates and supporters. The former Speaker of the House of Representatives of Nigeria said lingering disputes and leadership disagreements in the PDP made it increasingly difficult for him to remain in the party. Despite leaving the party, the senator expressed appreciation to the party for the opportunities it gave him to serve in different capacities. The lawmaker confirms that he had joined the ADC alongside his political associates and supporters, describing the move as part of efforts to strengthen democratic values and provide a credible political alternative. Moving on, the Senate confirms the appointment of Taiwo Oyedele as a minister-designate under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. The Senate President Godswill Akpabio announced the confirmation after lawmakers cleared the nominee through a voice vote at the Committee of the Whole. His confirmation followed his screening by the lawmakers on Wednesday, which lasted for over 2 hours. Speaking during his screening, Mr. Oyedele described his nomination as a call to serve Nigeria. Oyedele, the outgoing chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, will replace Doris Uzoka Anite. He was moved to serve as the Minister of State for Budget and National Planning.
So I'd like to briefly speak with your permission, Mr. President, on financing Nigeria for sustainable development, starting with our present fiscal reality. Distinguished senators, our fiscal reality is well known. Government revenue remains low relative to the size of our economy, while demands on government continue to rise, from infrastructure and healthcare to education, security, and social protection. Economies that cannot generate sufficient revenue to meet their basic obligations struggle to secure their borders, protect their citizens, and maintain social cohesion. Fiscal fragility amplifies insecurity through unemployment, poverty, illicit economies, and weakened state capacity. Just to give context as to the size of the challenges, but also the size of the opportunities. In 2025, Nigeria earned less than $130 equivalent per capita in revenue. This amount is 10 times smaller than the average for the top 5 economies in Africa, including Nigeria. That is South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, as well as Algeria. Now, in addition to that, despite having about 1/10 of the revenue of these other 4 African countries, our deficit as a percentage of total budget is even 3 times more than these other African countries. These constrain public spending per capita to less than 10% of the same group. We are unable to spend sufficiently for our development, whether it's infrastructure to human capital development. This is our current reality, but it doesn't have to remain like this. We can change this narrative and guarantee our country a better future.
The Legal Practitioners Disciplinary Committee, LPDC, has dismissed a complaint filed against the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, on the grounds that no prima facie case was established against him. The LPDC panel held that the allegations bordering on NYC participation, Nigerian law school training, and enrollment at the Supreme Court fall entirely outside the LPDC's jurisdiction, as it dismissed the complaints for being fundamentally flawed, both procedurally and substantively. The panel noted that the statement of facts was erroneously addressed to the chairman of the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee rather than the chairman of the LPDC, as required under Rule 4 of the LPDC Rules 2020. While the panel chose to overlook this error, it could not rescue the complaint on merit. October records that the complaint was brought by one John Martins, who alleged that Representative Kalu, formerly known as Benjamin Okezie Osesiogo, but for a legal name change, had simultaneously participated in the National Youth Service Corps scheme while attending the Nigerian Law School in alleged violation of the NYC Act. In another development, residents of the nation's commercial capital took to the streets this morning to protest the epileptic electricity supply across Lagos State. A viral video circulating on social media showed a group of protesters, primarily young Nigerians, marching through the Fadi area of Lagos. The demonstrators, carrying placards and chanting, expressed their frustration over what they described as a collapse of the power sector that is killing local businesses. The Lagos protest follows a series of coordinated outcries across Nigeria. In Osun State, the Nigerian Youth Congress, Borikma local government chapter, on Sunday decried the lack of stable electricity, describing the situation as economically damaging and unacceptable. Similarly, on Tuesday, business owners in Delta State reportedly staged a peaceful demonstration against exorbitant bills and the epileptic nature of the supply. The protest came amid a warning from industry leaders that the situation may worsen. The Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Power Generation Companies, Dr. Joy Ugaji, warns that the electricity crisis may worsen in the coming weeks as gas suppliers halt supply to thermal power plants over an estimated 3.3 trillion naira debt owned by power generation companies.
Give us freedom. We are not asking for someone, let them give us light now. Give us light, give us light. Okay, you are one of them, Abi.
On a rather sad note, no fewer than 5 persons were rescued alive, while 3 bodies were recovered by the Oyo State Fire Services Agency after a passenger bus plunged into the Ario River along Amuloko Road in Ibadan. The chairman of the agency, Maruf Akinwande, confirms the incident in a statement this morning, revealing that the agency received the distress call about the incident and immediately deployed personnel to the scene. It says that upon arrival, they met a Suzuki bus carrying 8 passengers, which had crashed into the river, noting that 5 persons were rescued alive and conveyed to the hospital, while 3 bodies were recovered and handed over to the police. He attributed the cause of the accident to reckless driving and advised motorists to always drive carefully and observe road safety rules to avoid unnecessary accidents. Akinwande also appreciated the support of the Oyo State Road Transport Management Agency, Onuara Division, and the chairman of Onuara Local Government during the rescue operation. And you're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We will be right back after this break. Stay with us.